The time for social distancing, it's immediately.
What exactly is social distancing?
Social distancing.
Institute more social distancing.
My name's Carolyn Canusio, and I'm a social epidemiologist. Every action that we take and every way in which we can hold back from the public sphere in order to limit the opportunities for transmission is an opportunity truly to save a life.
I'm wondering if there are just one or two concrete pieces of advice you would want people to follow.
I think our lives should look radically different right now than they normally do. I would say limit your face-to-face interactions, work remotely whenever possible, no handshakes, no high fives, no hugs outside the home, stand 6 feet or more away from any person you're encountering in a public space, and severely restrict your travel from city to city, limiting that to truly urgent matters, and limit your engagement in the public sphere. Don't attend group gatherings, don't go to the theater, don't go to sporting events. What we're trying to prevent is contact with droplets when people sneeze, cough, or spit.
I'm wondering what you think of small social gatherings. How big is too big?
You will get different answers from different people about this, and I tend to be more conservative. One of my sons said to me, "Mom, if we're quarantined, at least we can still have dinner parties, right?" And I said, "No, Gabriel, that's the antithesis of what quarantine is about. We have to minimize our contact with others." I would say that's the general rule. Limit it to what's necessary.
Do you recommend that people go outside even if they have limited contact with people?
So what I've been doing is trying to wake up at a very early hour and go, usually, or to go in very unpopulated places and walk in the woods.
I'm wondering what you think about taking flights.
An important consideration is that the movement of populations is the fuel for continued spread. So in the 1918 flu, there was this massive movement of troops across the United States, and that troop movement was the perfect vehicle for continuing the spread of influenza. And you may think that it's different if you're just traveling for spring break, but really there isn't any difference between that kind of movement for the purposes of wartime personnel needs and the movement of people because they want to get to the beach. We don't want to have prolonged contact with other humans in a confined space. And what's a flight if not prolonged contact with other humans in a confined space? So don't do it. If you don't have to do it, don't do it.
I'm sure that's going to be your answer for all of the following questions I have. If you don't have to, don't do it. What about public transportation?
So many people are dependent upon public transit to get to work. There might be some risk reduction practices people could adopt, such as trying to ride at off-peak times. If you are able to walk or ride your bike, do that. It probably is safer from an infection perspective to drive one's own car rather than to use public transit, but every public health person hates saying that.
How should we approach caring for elderly or at-risk neighbors or people in our community who might need help?
If people have been living with an elderly family member, they should reduce radically their contact with the outside world, especially the primary caregiver. That's ultra important. For elders who are able to take care of their own activities of daily living, like my mom lives independently, she's taking the CDC advice very seriously to stay at home. And we also make a point to call her multiple times throughout the day. My daughter in the evening will read a story to my mom. My mom will read a story to her. We play games together over Google Hangouts. We really want to have ways to continue to show her how much we love her.
And when will this end? When will we know that we can stop social distancing?
I can't give you a date when it will end. It would be good if we could have that date because it would be reassuring to people to know that this won't last forever. and it won't last forever, but it's probably going to be an uncomfortably long period of time.
Is there a happy medium between extreme social isolation and just keeping a healthy distance from people?
So this will be a very hard time for many people. And I would say that the happy medium is to try to think creatively about ways to engage socially without physically being present. Call more often, FaceTime more often, sing with friends out the windows as people have been doing in Italy, play music for your loved ones over the phone, let your elders hear the voices of their grandchildren over the phone, give to food banks, give to homeless outreach organizations. If you're able to be generous, now is the time to be generous. And be generous not just with our material gifts, but also truly believe deep in your heart that by stepping out of the social realm right now, you are doing one of the greatest services you can do to the public's health.
You are somebody who practices Vipassana. Does that help you get closer to the Force? Is that where you get closer to the Force?
I practice Vipassana meditation to see reality more clearly, to be able to see what is reality, what is really happening right here, right now. I'm not doing it as any kind of religious exercise to get in touch with this force or that force, with this story or that story. It's really for me then the least dogmatic thing I ever encountered in life is Vipassana meditation. It just tells you, just observe what is really happening right now as it is, without trying to impose any story on it, without trying to change it in any way. I mean, I remember the first time I went to a course, and the first instruction I got from the teacher was observe your breath. Not observe God, not observe the soul, just observe your breath coming in and out of your nostrils, and just accept the breath, whatever it is. If it is strong, if it's weak, if it comes from this nostril or that nostril, it doesn't matter. Just observe the reality as it is. And what amazed me was that I couldn't do it for more than 10 seconds. Immediately the mind ran away to some story, some fantasy, some memory. If I can't observe the reality of my own breath for 10 seconds, how can I hope to observe the reality of the global political system or of the global economic system?
So that's exactly the question.
I try to do both. I've been practicing for 18 years now.
Wow.
And it's been very helpful. I don't think
more than 10 seconds now.
More than 10 seconds, I try.
So how
Sometimes I succeed. This year I went to a 60 days course here in India.
60 days.
60 days. I didn't stay focused for 60 days, of course. The mind keeps running away, but keep trying. And I don't think I could have written any of my books without the help of the focus and the discipline and the clarity that this kind of meditation gives.
So when you're deep in meditation, I'm dying to ask this question, and we have quite a lot of people from Bollywood here today, so they've obviously seen some of these films. Does everything start looking like in algorithms and codes, like in Matrix?
No.
When he evolves.
You have a pain in the stomach and your knee hurts, then the mind runs away to some memory that, I should have said this, I should have said that. And this is how you get to know yourself. I think many people make a mistake about meditation, that they think meditation is a tool to get all kinds of special experiences. Mm-hmm. Like I go to an amusement park, and this is another kind of amusement park. I'll use meditation to have all kinds of special experiences. And actually, I think the most important benefit of meditation is to get to know the most ordinary, daily, natural patterns of your mind and of your body, to get to know your anger, your pain, your joy, your boredom, because this is what you have to deal with in life. If meditation is a kind of vacation, like for a couple of days I have these special experiences, but then for most of the year I still have to deal with my anger and my boredom, it didn't really help me.
Is this the purpose of life?
Is this the purpose of life?
As you see it.
Well, I think that the key to a good life is to be able to observe reality as it is. To really what is the truth about myself and about the world, without running away to all kinds of fantasies and stories and fictions. And I think if you can observe to some degree reality as it is, you won't just be a much better person, but you'll probably be a much more peaceful and happy person, because the deep source of so much of our personal and collective problems is in the fantasies that we create, and then we mistake them for reality, and then we try to impose them on reality, and we get extremely upset when it doesn't work, when reality doesn't conform to our favorite fantasy.
But it's also part of the paradox, because what you're saying is sit quietly in meditation, go in, and then we have all this technology constantly calling out to us. I mean, everyone here, I'm sure, would agree with me that if your phone is away from you for 5 minutes, you're like, where's my phone? Where's my phone? Where's my phone? You're checking your phone at least 80 times a day.
Exactly. So observe that. I mean, what's happening to you when you're away from your phone? What's happening in your body? You will see that there are a lot of unpleasant sensations in your body at the time. What's happening in your mind? This is how you get to know yourself. You get to know yourself not by observing some blissful, metaphysical, mystical experience. You get to know yourself by observing what happens to me when the phone is away. And once you witness how much misery I am inflicting on myself by my own habits, this can help you in changing these harmful habits.
So one of the things you said before is that suffering is a sign of consciousness. If something suffers, then it's real and it's conscious. Then is our purpose to suffer rather than be happy?
Certainly not. I'm not saying that we are here to suffer. We can liberate ourselves from suffering. What I said in some of what I wrote is that the best test to know whether an entity is real or whether it's a fiction invented by politicians and religious leaders and so forth is to ask, can this entity suffer? A nation, for example, is just a human creation. It's a fictional story created by humans. How do you know? Just ask yourself, can a nation suffer? If you lose a war, does the nation suffer? No. The nation has no mind, no feelings, no sensations. Soldiers who die in war, they suffer. Civilians who lose their house or their loved ones in war, they suffer. Animals can suffer, but a nation cannot suffer.